Yo Yamamo Aqua Bashon so eba a POG Media so much as Safi and as well about subscribe like a Jimmy and share the mouth for and so answer in can be kindly click on the notification bell no so send a be any news be at a platform no so also work no the airco and the air the airbar Jubedi no a very interactive in the mestre mo na or the wadrin chair ashe under the comment section nim at the ama yanko Jumedi no so a John Dramani Mahama Semusi Jatawa copium ewo Japan just a ne mampani akasa na okasa ye no ode nsem bibra tudwa ama chese standing ovation awanya no enye bete yenko ne yenkonkuti eyensama John Dramani Mahama editudwa.
Very comprehensive presentation of the opportunities that our country has to offer, and I wonder whether after Simon is necessary for me to even speak. You marketed our country, quite efficiently than anybody can be able to do. But let me just say, the question is, why would you want to invest in a country like Ghana? And not only to do with the economic opportunities, but that Ghana is a stable, democratic, business-friendly gateway to West Africa and the continent. And like you said, we have a growing consumer market with improving macroeconomic fundamentals, clear reforms to lower the cost of doing business, and abundant opportunities for technology transfer. And the thing is, what does Ghana have to offer? Strategic geographical location. Ghana is a country through which the meridian and the equator intersect. The two intersect in Ghana's territory, just a few kilometers off our shore. And it's also the host country for the African Continental Free Trade Area. You all have heard the landmark protocol that was signed by African countries. So far, almost 50 African countries have signed that allow us to export duty-free, tariff-free into each other's markets. Increasing numbers of products are being registered. And once you register your product and it meets all the standards, you can export duty-free and tariff-free into each other's markets. And as you were told, the sub-regional market, which is West Africa, is 400 million people. Ghana is 33 million people. And the continental market is 1.4 billion people. And so with the vehicle of the African Continental Free Trade Area, you potentially can export into 1.4 billion market. Simon said it, we are re-establishing macro stability and growth momentum of the economy. Inflation rose to a high of almost 23% in 2024 and is currently down to 13.7%. And we expect that by the end of the year to hit single digit. And it's also, our cedi has stabilized. For those of you who know the history of the Ghanaian cedi, it's been one of the most volatile currencies in Africa. And a few years back, we were said to be the worst performing currency. I'm happy to announce that this year, Ghana's cedi has been the best performing currency in the world. And as Simon said, we've been upgraded from junk status to B- with a stable outlook. And I'm certain that in the next review, we're going to be upgraded again. We're open for business, and Simon and Co are busy at work reviewing the Ghana Investment Promotion Center Act. Some barriers were put to foreign investment. You had to prove that you had brought in a certain amount of money to be classified as a foreign investor. In the reviewed Ghana Investment Promotion Center Act, we're removing those minimal capital investments. This will enable any investor, however little money you have, $100,000, $50,000, to be able to come in and set up a business in Ghana. Again, we have a track record for hosting Japanese companies. And as you saw from the list, there are by Madam Jethro, Executive Vice President. The number of Japanese companies that are operating in Ghana is significant, and we're expecting that that should expand. From Simon's presentation, he told you about $152 million has been invested over the last few decades. We believe that there is growth room for improvement and expanded investment from Japan. We're moving just not only from overseas development assistance, but we're moving to trade and investment. And the private sector will be that engine of growth. And so trade between our two countries grew by over 24% from 2020 to 2024. That is quite a significant jump. Priority sectors, Simon mentioned, Japan has a comparative advantage when it comes to automobile manufacturing. And like I said, using the opportunity to be able to export into not only our sub-region, but into Africa, then Ghana becomes a good place for local assembly of automotive products. And already we have Japanese companies that are based in Ghana and assembling for the local market and also for exporting to the sub-region. Brands like Toyota, the Honda is there, and several other ones. He mentioned the area of agribusiness and agro-processing. Of course, that is one of the main focus in terms of economic transformation. Ghana has a comparative advantage when it comes to agriculture and agribusiness in terms of available arable lands, in terms of sunshine, in terms of water. We have the world's largest man-made lake. It's one of the things we were taught in school, the Volta Lake. And our first president had quite a good dream about what he wanted to do with that lake. And we're going to capture that in what I talk about when I talk about the Volta Economic Corridor. We have millions of hectares of land that border that huge lake. And the water can be used to bring about 2 million hectares of land under irrigation. But also, we intend to establish industrial parks, so that we can process agri-products. We can invest in textile manufacture for export into the EU markets, into the American markets, and other places. Fortunately, we got slapped with only a 15% tariff by President Trump. And so Ghana is still competitive when it comes to exporting into the American market. And so, like I said, the economic corridor would include manufacturing and industrial parks. And we already have 2 industrial parks. We have the Free Zones Enclave. We have the Tema Industrial Park. But there's a new one that has come up, which is the Dawa Industrial Park. And already the anchor tenants have built and are producing, and several other companies are setting up for producing in Ghana and exporting into the African and foreign market. One of the major areas, growth areas for Ghana is in energy. And Ghana has a comparative advantage when it comes to energy production. Our first president was the first to establish the Akuffo hydroelectric dam, which is a 1,020 megawatt hydroelectric power plant. We have subsequently had other hydro plants, including the Pong hydroelectric power plant and then the Bui hydroelectric power plant. So there are 3 of them. But after a while, we realized that these hydro plants were not enough to supply the energy needs of Ghana. And so we went into thermal production. The good news is that once we went into thermal production, side by side, we discovered huge quantities of oil and gas. And we took a decision to utilize the gas for power production. And so we have a gas to power policy. And so our thermal plants are being run on gas. We're bringing new gas fields into operation. And because we're members of the West African Power Pool, our energy transmission systems are interconnected with our neighboring countries. And so any excess of power we're able to produce, we can evacuate and sell to our neighboring countries because we have a comparative advantage when it comes to power. Our cost is much lower than they can produce it themselves using fuel oils. Ghana has three important ports. One is the old Tema port. There are two ports in Tema, if for most people don't know that. We have the old port that was built by President Kwame Nkrumah, which is a smaller one. And recently we built a much bigger port, which is the MPS port. So there are two ports in Tema. And then we also have the port in Takrady. Currently, the port in Tema, the MPS port, is one of the best performing ports in Africa. And it is able to accommodate the largest cargo ships that exist in this world. This year, about 3 of those cargo ships, the largest in the world, have berthed in Tema to lighten, because we have a deep draft, and so they're able to come into Tema and lighten the cargo before they move to our sister ports in Nigeria, Apapa, Lomé, and Côte d'Ivoire. We also have an important area, which is digital economy and skills. And like Simon said, Ghana has a very young population, English speaking, and they're very smart and quick to upskill in any areas: robotics, AI, fintechs. The fintech sector is one of the fastest growing in Ghana than in any other African country. And so GIPC sold itself. It says it will fast track your approvals. And so any investor who wants to come, your first port of call is the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. And once you go, they would lead you and fill out all your
yo medawase se uhwe dwumadi no abedu esem ye do fam yinu no ene bro meso so be subscribe like dwumadi ni share na ma afoforo enso ensa enka be kindly click on the notification bell no so send be the news via to platform no so awon so wo hunu di echo ene di eba mesre mu se dwumadi no ye to aso nti kohwe fam yinu na bra John ne Mahama ede ensam dodo na atudwa
company registration forms, get you your tax identification number and everything. And Simon said in 24 hours. And so I'm holding him to that promise. Any of you who comes and he goes beyond 24 hours, just report him to me. I talked already of the Volta Economic Corridor. And so we're looking for anchor businesses to take advantage of that. We also have the opportunities for mitigating your risk by doing PPPs. That is, government will partner with you to invest if you are interested. We currently do not provide sovereign guarantees in terms of borrowing, but our guarantees are that your business, will be protected and will not be expropriated. We also have blended finance for huge projects, and so that is available. We have local partnership, and as you were told, some of our big businessmen are here, and so setting up joint ventures with Ghanaian businessmen who know the terrain, and would be something that is useful. And so I invite you to pilot with that. Select any of the areas. If it's automotive, if it's agro-processing, it is investment in green transition. You can join us and partner to be able to do that. You can use Ghana, as I said, as your West African hub and locate your regional office in Ghana or your production line in Ghana for export into the sub-region. You can also invest with our universities and vocational institutions to establish training centers that will be tied to whatever investments that you want to do. Ghana is a land of opportunity, and many nationals from all over the world are investing in Ghana. As I said, we wish to, because of the discipline, quality standards, and industrial wisdom that Japanese businessmen have, we wish to encourage Japanese businessmen to look towards Ghana. Africa is the next frontier for investment. Most parts of the world are saturated when it comes to investment. Africa is opening up, is growing, and is a place that Japan should be looking at. And so let us marry Japanese precision with Ghanaian potential and create a win-win situation for ourselves. Before I take my seat, my minister's advisors CEO of GIPC, Ghana Export Promotion Agency, and our ambassadors will all be in this room after we finish this opening session, and they'll be happy to sit with you and discuss further what the opportunities are in Ghana. My copyright, Ghana is open for business, is here, and I don't charge for it anyway, so we're open for business 24 hours a day, and at this decisive moment in our history, we're working towards the economic transformation of Ghana. Our nation is embracing a bold vision, one that harnesses innovation, industrialization, and regional integration to unlock the full potential of our people and our resources. Our vision is anchored in our 10 billion big push, and the $10 billion big push is a program to improve the infrastructure of our country, especially in the road sector, in the industrial sector, agro-processing space, and all that. So we're investing $2 billion a year in infrastructure development. And already you've heard about the 24-hour economic policy, where we'll give incentives to businesses that are prepared to invest and to run more than the 8-hour working cycle. And then we're looking to accelerate industrial growth, ensure food security, enhance supply chain and value addition, and position Ghana as the manufacturing and export hub of Africa. And so on this note, I am happy to declare the Presidential Investment Forum on the sidelines of Ticket 9 duly open. I thank you. Long live Ghana and Japan partnership.
Shall we do it better?
Aha any day Jumadi no ABC at the amount penny for Bessie. The Dia Coson ya and the POG Media dear, Yenamo, POG Media dear no crew fee, Mr. Mon subscribe na Mon Shage Mediano, na Mama for friends when San can before I join training here a fashion that a comment session and for my son Jumadiano, Nina Becoso 101 year call near Denson for Frona Abram Macram.